Now, so far during the NHL season, I've spent a lot of time ripping on my St. Louis Blues, and it's valid criticism. The team is underperforming like crazy right now. We're one of the worst teams in the entire league. We traded a young, promising player in Zachary Bolduc away for Logan Mailloux, and Logan Mailloux has been so bad, we had to send him to the AHL. But that's not the point of today's video. I decided to take a look at the standings today, and when I looked at those standings, I saw a couple teams below the St. Louis Blues. There's not many teams below us, but there's a couple. One of those teams is the Nashville Predators. Now, last season, Nashville made a couple splashes. They brought in Steven Stamkos, they brought in Jonathan Marchessault, and they brought in Brady Shea. Since then, this team has been one of the worst in the entire league. And moving into this season, Barry Trotz was hoping this team would bounce back. They would surprise everyone and be a competent team this season. That is not the case. This Nashville Predators team is one of the worst in the entire league, and I just can't let that slide anymore. So over the next 10 seasons, I'm taking over as GM for the Nashville Predators. I will do whatever it takes to win this team a Stanley Cup, and I will allow them to see some success in the near future. However, in saying that, I think these next couple years are going to be a little bit rough. Stamkos, you're gone. Ryan O'Reilly, you're gone. Marchessault, you're gone. I am not scared to trade absolutely everyone here. So with that being said, let's immediately start making some trades. And to make this even more difficult, guys like Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos, they have no movement, so we might be stuck with them for a little bit. However, I will talk to both of them and see if they're willing to be traded anywhere. Like Marchessault, he still has 3 years with a no movement. That's not really ideal for us. When it comes to Stammer, he still has another 3 years with a no movement. We got to find a way to move these guys. Even if that involves making them healthy scratches and basically forcing them off the team, I'm willing to do what I have to. So here's what I'm thinking. We have to embrace a new young core here. So Ryan O'Reilly, you can be shipped out. I want to send you to a competent team that has a chance at a Stanley Cup. So you're being sent over to the Carolina Hurricanes. Jackson Blake and Unger Sorum are both going to be brought in. I think they can be great pieces for us in the future. The future isn't now with the Nashville Predators. We have to embrace a little bit of a retool here, maybe even a rebuild. Like, let's face it, we're not winning a Stanley Cup this season. We're likely not even going to be competing for one. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking when it comes to a Brady Shea deal. We're going to be trading him over to Vegas. Zach Whitecloud, William Karlsson, a 3rd and 4th rounders all going to be brought in. More than likely, William Karlsson will be flipped somewhere else. I can actually guarantee you he will be flipped somewhere else. They need a 7th rounder in this deal. I'm pretty sure we have another one. And it looks like we do have another 7th rounder. This one for 2027. Brady Shea, thank you for the one season you played in Nashville, but now you're moving on. Now, when it comes to what we're going to do with William Karlsson, I'm going to send him over to the LA Kings, and the plan for him is to be the Anze Kopitar replacement, even though Anze Kopitar 1000% won't retire at the end of the year when it comes to NHL 26. So yeah, you're just kind of going to be stuck with William Karlsson. But you know what? You'll find a way to make it work. Here's a 4th round pick as well. They're still saying no. I'll give you another 4th round pick. Actually, how about I give you a 5th rounder from the Carolina Hurricanes? Is that enough to get this one done? How much more do you actually need? Like, I am giving you more than enough in this deal. Here's a 6th round pick as well. Nah, y'all are bugging. The crazy thing is, I will offer more because I really want to get this deal done. Here's a 3rd round pick from the Colorado Avalanche. That's still not enough. Okay, what else do we have to throw in this deal? How about I give up Nashville's 3rd round pick because it has a little bit more value? Is that the difference maker? Yes, it is. Now that we've got that deal done, we're going to trade Nick Hague away. Now, this will likely be our biggest deal. Nick Hague and Matthew Wood sent over to the Philadelphia Flyers. Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale are both going to be acquired. We're likely going to have to throw a 1st round pick into this deal, and I'm a little bit concerned with trading a 1st round pick, but maybe I just trade next season's 2nd round pick considering it has so much value. That actually might be enough in this deal. They're saying no. I'll give you a 3rd round pick as well. Here's Colorado's 3rd round pick. Is that going to be enough for both of those players? It's a little bit low. I know we've traded away a lot of draft picks, but you know what? We're trading away draft picks to get good players that are going to be a part of this team's future, so it's definitely worth it. So we're going to make one more trade. Unger Sorum, I brought you in not that long ago, but now I'm going to be flipping you. Payton Krebs and Josh Stone are both going to be brought to the team. They don't want 2 forwards here, so how about I give you a defensive prospect? I know we have Tanner Molendyk, and I think we might be throwing him into this deal, but how about we don't do that because he's only 20 years old. This guy's 22 and he's only 1 overall higher. I think this deal makes a bit more sense, and it looks like Buffalo agrees. Now let's all acknowledge that this Nashville Predators team is not going to be good this season. The plan isn't to be good. The plan is to be able to trade Marchessault away and Steven Stamkos away. So we're going to check in with those guys at the trade deadline, and I'm assuming because they're being healthy scratched, they're going to be willing to be moved at the trade deadline. If they're not willing to be moved, then I'll actually put them back in the lineup. But the plan is to basically force these 2 guys off the team. We have to embrace a rebuild here. So yeah, I guess we're going to find out if this is going to work. Can we trade Steven Stamkos? Can we trade Marchessault? Or are they basically just going to force us to keep them on the team? So So while the Nashville Predators go ahead and basically lose every game this season because this team is not going to be looking good whatsoever, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you should probably change that because we're trying to hit 90k subs by the end of the month. So hit the button down below. You'll be notified of when I upload, and you're definitely not going to want to miss out on any future uploads. Now, right now, things look terrible for the Nashville Predators. They're the worst team in the entire league, a 19-39-4 record, but we don't care about that. We don't care that we have a terrible offense and a terrible defense. All we care about is rebuilding. We have to embrace a rebuild. We have to accept that this team is not perfect, and we have to prepare for the future. And the only way we can do that is if we can move on from Steven Stamkos and we can move on from Marchessault. Now, neither of these two players have played a single minute this season. Are either of them willing to be traded? I want you guys to remember, you haven't played a single game yet. Steven Stamkos is willing to be traded. That's what I've been looking for. Now, where exactly is Stammer willing to be traded to? Well, it looks like he wants to go join the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can make that happen. And then when it comes to Jonathan Marchessault, are you going to be willing to be traded? Keep in mind, you have not played a single minute this season. Nope, you rather sit on the bench, because that just makes so much sense. So Marchessault, I guess I'll put you back into the lineup. Stammer, I'll trade you away over to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not 100% sure what we're going to get here, but it could possibly be Matthew Knies. Because we have to remember, Matthew Knies' trade value in this game isn't nearly as high as it should be. And I would definitely not be against bringing Matthew Knies to the team, and I think that's who we're going to go after. So Steven Stamkos 1-for-1 for Matthew Knies. Of course, they're going to be saying no, because why on earth would you say yes to that trade? Now, we definitely have to throw more into this deal. Tanner Molendyk, I think we might have to trade you away. But if we can walk away with Matthew Knies, I think we're winning this deal. But maybe Matthew Knies just isn't the guy we should go after. Maybe we should target somebody else like Nick Wahl. Now, this deal might seem crazy, but you have to understand, Nick Wahl usually has some crazy progression. So if I play him on the top line, we get him up to like an 86, 87, we could flip him for even more next season. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to get Nick Wahl and a second round pick for Steven Stamkos. They're going to be rejecting that deal. Now, if we can't get a second rounder, maybe we can get a third rounder. Is this going to be accepted? Are we really going 1-for-1? We're getting fleeced. We have to give up more in this deal. No, we are getting fleeced. Here's a 6th rounder from Utah. Give me Nick Wahl. Send nobody ever. We are trading Steven Stamkos for Nick Wahl, and I'm having to include 2 6th round picks. No, I think we got fleeced there. Then again, if Nick Wahl turns into like an 87 overall player, we definitely didn't get fleeced. So that's going to be the lone trade we're making this season. We're going to tank for the rest of the year. And then hopefully over the offseason, Jonathan Marchessault is going to be willing to be traded. Now, the tank for the Nashville Predators was an incredible success. Dead last in the entire league, a 27-50-5 record. Watch us turn this team around next season. Next season, we're going to be competing for a wildcard spot. And then the year after that, a Stanley Cup. Yes, things look terrible right now. However, we have a handful of young guys on the team. We're allowing those young guys to develop. UC Saros, I'll put something in front of you next season and you'll have a little bit of support. The Colorado Avalanche are Stanley Cup champions. They're taking down the Philadelphia Flyers. Definitely an interesting Stanley Cup final, but we're not too focused on that. We're focused on dropping from 1 to 3 because we all know what's going to happen here. But wait a minute, no it isn't. The Nashville Predators are actually going to get the 1st overall pick. What's with my lottery luck lately? In the past couple videos where I've had a chance to gain the 1st overall pick, I've actually gotten the 1st overall pick. I'm not used to having good luck like this. You know what? We'll definitely take it. But since we're getting the 1st overall pick, you might as well just give me a franchise potential player while we're at it. Now, unfortunately, I did take a look at the draft class and there isn't going to be a franchise potential player available. However, I'm actually considering dropping back to the 3rd overall pick to select Payton Wise. He'd be a good sniper that can play some center minutes for us. We could then move Trevor Zegras over to the left wing or something, or maybe we can just even move Payton Wise over to one of the wings. So yeah, we're going to trade down to the 3rd overall pick and ideally get some more assets as well. So here's the deal I'm looking at pulling off. We trade the 1st overall pick in Zach Whitecloud over to the Vancouver Canucks. We bring in the 3rd overall pick so we can select Payton Wise, and we also get Tom Willander in the process. He'll be a really good second pairing defenseman for us. I think this is a no-brainer. Is Vancouver willing to accept it though? It doesn't look like it. Luckily, we do have some more assets we can throw into this deal. And maybe trading away one of our young prospects is the right move here. I think Molendyk's going to be that guy. Maybe he's going to make the difference in a deal like this. They're still saying no. What if I give you my 2nd round pick as well? Wait, the 33rd overall is definitely going to have some value. Is this enough for Tom Willander and the 3rd overall pick? Vancouver's still saying no. We honestly might not be picking up Willander. Unless we throw Kemmel in this deal, do we just accept that Kemmel's not going to be a part of this team in the future? I'm actually okay with that because we're bringing in Payton Wise. He'll be a better sniper than Kemmel. He'll be younger younger than Kemmel. I think that makes a bit more sense. We bring in a good young defenseman. Yeah, I think this deal is a no-brainer for us. So we'll simulate to the 3rd overall pick, and it looks like our guy is still going to be available. That's perfect. Payton Wise, welcome to the team. I think you're going to be jumping into a top 6 role immediately. Maybe not, though. You're only a 79 overall. I might give you 1 season to develop on the bottom 6. Now, our first draft isn't really looking too hot for us, so I'm not worried about doing a lot of drafting here. Instead, we're going to make some trades. I'm going to trade the 33rd overall pick and Peyton Krebs over to Boston. Pavel Zacha and a 2nd round pick is going to be acquired. Well, maybe we're not going to get a 2nd rounder, but we'll bring back some draft picks. So here's a 4th rounder and a 6th rounder. I think Boston's going to be willing to say yes to that. Apparently not. I'll take the 6th round pick out of the deal, and we'll get this one done. Now, there might not be a ton of superstars, but we are going to get the odd good prospects, such as Gabriel Tkachuk, a 52 overall with medium top 6 potential. He didn't put up the greatest numbers last season, but he does have a little bit of potential, so you never know what he's going to turn into. Now, medium top 4 potential defenseman's nothing to jump up and down about. However, this next player that we're going to be bringing to the team is going to be an elite goaltender for us because they have elite potential. We're going to be selecting him 20 picks early, but I think it's going to work out for us. We're getting a medium-elite potential goaltender who's also a gem, starting off as a 47 overall. He had a decent save percentage and goals against last season, so I believe that this guy could turn into something. Then again, he's starting as a 47 overall, so that's definitely going to hurt him. Now, last season, we didn't hand out any extensions because a lot of guys were only looking for 1-year deals, but now we can finally do some multi-year deals. Starting with Jamie Drysdale, we're going to do 5.7 for the next 3 years to be one of our top pairing defensemen. That's an absolute steal. And then when it comes to Trevor Zegras, he wants 6.8 million. I actually think we can do this. But how about we try to save quite a bit of money? I'll do 5.9 and I'll get that up to 50% team protection. I think that's going to work out for us pretty well. Josh Stone, I'm hoping we can do something pretty cheap, and 1.8 million is definitely that price, so you're going to be sticking around. And then when it comes to everyone else, we're just going to be looking at some really cheap contracts. Now, unfortunately, Trevor Zegras is actually going to be rejecting that first contract offer we gave him, so how about we go with 6.5 million for the next 4 years? But I feel like we could save a little bit more money than that, so how about we go down to 6.2 million and then get that trade protection up to 50%. That should be enough to keep Trevor Zegras on the team. I don't see why he'd be rejecting that offer, and it looks like he's going to be accepting. Now, after spending the money we did during the re-sign phase, we're left with $21 million, so extensions should be pretty easy here. We're starting with Pavel Zacha. I'll do 6.3 for the next 3 seasons. Luke Evangelista, I'm hoping to bring you back for around $3 million. You want 3.7 for 1 season. I'm going to hold off on that because I want to do multiple years. And then Nick Perbix, how much are you looking for? 2.7. I can definitely keep this stick on the ice legend around. Here's 2.6 for the next 3. Now, as you can see, Nick Wahl is up to an 87 overall. That was the plan when we originally traded for him. Now it's time for us to flip him elsewhere. Before we tried to trade Nick Wahl away, though, Jonathan Marchessault, can we move on from you? I sat you for basically half of last season. It was actually more than half of last season. Are you willing to be traded anywhere? Is there any team you're willing to join? Yes, there is. Jonathan Marchessault is willing to leave the team. That's perfect. This is what we've been waiting for. What are the odds it's the Toronto Maple Leafs? I think there's probably a 90% chance it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. No, it isn't. It's the San Jose Sharks instead. All right, I wasn't expecting that. Now, the San Jose Sharks really don't have too much I'm interested in, so what we're going to do is Jonathan Marchessault in a 3rd round pick. We're picking up Shakir, a 4th, and 2 6th rounders. I just want to get Marchessault off the books here so we can fully embrace a retool. So with Marchessault gone, we have quite a bit of cap space to work with. Is there any superstars available? I wouldn't say there's any superstars that really fit what we're building here, so we might not make too many moves. However, Vladimir Tarasenko on a 1-year deal, I would be interested in that. But you know what? It looks like he's looking for 2 years, but I can still do 2 years, so here's 4.7 for the next 2 years. Vladimir Tarasenko, welcome to the team. Also, it wouldn't hurt if we picked up a backup goaltender, so we're going to go with Schmid. He's an 82 overall, 1.8 million for the next 2 years. I can work with that. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I think it's going to be another season of tanking for the Nashville Predators. Like, we're not going to be that elite this season. So I think the final free agent signing we're going to do here is going to be Tolvanen, 4.3 for the next 2 years. I'm not expecting this team to go on any crazy runs next season. I'm not expecting us to win a Stanley Cup. I just want the young guys to continue to develop here, and I don't want to trade basically every draft pick we have in order to compete next season when I know that's just not possible. With that being said, I am still trying to trade Nick Wahl, so how about I package up him and Zach Whitecloud and we bring in Logan Stankoven for the next 8 seasons? Yeah, I think that works out pretty well for us. By the way, Tolvanen rejected our offer, but that's not the end of the world. So moving into season number 2, the Nashville Predators are definitely looking better this season. I'm not expecting them to compete for a Stanley Cup, though. I think I've made that abundantly clear. We are not competing for Stanley Cups this season. We are still rebuilding this team. UC Saros has dropped to an 86 overall. That was basically because we didn't have a defense in front of him last season and his numbers were terrible. I do think we're actually in a better spot. So Saros, hopefully you can get back up to like an 88 overall or something. Now, the goal this season was for Nashville to be one of the worst teams in the entire league, and things haven't really gone that way. Yes, we're not an amazing team, 22nd in the entire league, but in reality, we are actually not that far out of the wild card. I think we're only like 8 points out or something. That is a lot better than what I was expecting. A 27, 26, and 7 record, we're scoring 2.68 goals per game. That is atrocious. Let's not act like that's great by any means. And 3.15 goals against, there is no reason we should only be 8 points out of the postseason with that goal differential right there. When it comes to scoring on this team, nobody's scoring. Roman Josi, 48 points, he's leading the way. Logan Stankoven, 45, Phil Forsberg, 40, Trevor Zegras, 37, Vladimir Tarasenko, 37. This team is doing a lack of basically everything right now, but somehow it is still working out for us slightly. Like, we're only 8 points back. That makes no sense. Being 8 points back in the postseason with this team right here makes absolutely no sense. So I think what the plan for the rest of the season is going to be is we're not going to make any moves. We're just going to embrace the team that we have right here. If we make the playoffs, that's great. If we miss the playoffs, that doesn't bother me at all. But next season, Roman Josi doesn't have a no movement. He can be traded to any team that we want to trade him to, and I think that's going to be the move. Roman Josi, we're going to move on from you next season. Phil Forsberg, although you're one of the best players on this team, I will talk to you next season about a potential trade, because I think we just have to get rid of the rest of that Nashville Predators core from the very beginning of this video, and that might even include trading UC Saros. UC Saros, you're a great goaltender, don't get me wrong, but we might have to try to head a different direction. Granted, your no movement goes all the way until 2031, so there's a chance that you actually want to stay on this team just because you don't want to waive your no movement clause, but honestly, that's completely up to you. We understand the direction we're heading, we have a vision for what the future of the Nashville Predators looks like, and we don't want to deviate too much. Also, after waiting a little bit, there's actually a couple of extensions we can do. Luke Evangelista is now willing to sign a 2-year deal, and that works out a lot better for us, so we'll do 3.3 for the next 2 seasons. And then Justin Barron, how much are you going to be looking for? You're an old stick on the ice legend. Here's 1.1 million. I'll give you 1.1 just because you're a stick on the ice legend. Also, Svechkov, I guess we can do another deal with you. You're looking for 2 years at 2.2 million. I can definitely do that. Now, what can I say? To finish out the season, things went better than expected. We were not a good team by any means, but I guess a 38, 33, and 11 record is good enough to get you into the postseason. We had a negative goal differential. We weren't even scoring 3 goals per game. This team does not deserve to be in the playoffs. We deserve to be getting the first overall pick because this team is not good. Let's not try to gas up this team. We're buns. From top to bottom, this is not a good team. UC Saros low-key saved us this season. He is the only reason that we're in the postseason right now, but I don't want to be in the postseason right now. I want to be getting a top draft pick. We're taking on Colorado in the first round. It's 5 games max. Like, there is no way we're taking more than 1 game away from the Colorado Avalanche. That's just not happening. We won game number 1. Okay, that is a very interesting start. We're losing game 2, though. I expect us to lose game number 3. Nope, we're winning that one. Are we going to take a 3-1 series lead? Yes, we are. I said at the very max this series would be 5 games. It'd be very funny if we took Colorado down in 5 games. Is that going to be the case? Yes, it is. So I sort of predicted this in the sense that I said it wouldn't be longer than 5 games, and it wasn't longer than 5 games because we took Colorado down in 5 games. We're moving on to the second round. We do not deserve to be here. The Chicago Blackhawks are the next team up. If we can take down Colorado, I don't see why we can't beat Chicago. Okay, are we going to win a Stanley Cup in year number 2 with this team? We shouldn't be winning a Stanley Cup in year number 2, but we're 1 game away from the conference finals. Can we take down Chicago? Okay, we're in the conference finals. This is not a good Nashville Predators team. I sold quite a few pieces. We're taking on the Calgary Flames in the conference finals. How on earth did the Calgary Flames make it to the conference finals? I have no clue, but they're sweeping us. This was a very interesting season. So in the 2026-2027 season, 1 season from now, the Calgary Flames are Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, there's no words to describe that. The Nashville Predators went on some ridiculous run where they somehow made it to the conference finals. Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Tarasenko, Trevor Zegras. I guess this team figured it out. We only had 1 player with a negative plus minus. Never mind, we had multiple players. 4 players with a negative plus minus. During the regular season, I think every player on this team had a negative plus minus. Maybe we're finally taking a step in the right direction. UC Saros is back up to an 88 overall. Maybe Nashville's not as bad as I thought. Now, we don't have a ton of picks to work with in the draft, but in the first round, we're getting a medium top 6 potential player. He's only 17 years old right now, so he still has tons of time to develop. Okay, hold on. Ain't no way this man Roman Josi retired on me. Roman Josi retired before I could trade him away. Nah, bro did me dirty. Granted, we have $34 million, and I think Quinn Hughes is a free agent, so maybe Roman Josi actually helped us. Because yeah, if we can walk away with Quinn Hughes, I think we'd be in a pretty good spot. So we have $34 million in cap space. Ozzy will re-sign to the team. I'm basically just going to re-sign all of these guys. I already gave a handful of guys two-way contracts. We'll sign these rookies, and then we'll go spend money in free agency. Now, before I throw an absolute bag at Quinn Hughes, I want to make sure some of these other guys are coming back to the team. So we're going to start with Tom Willander. I'll do $5.6 million for the next 4 years. He's already up to an 85 overall, and I think he's going to be a cornerstone for our defense. Tarasenko, more than likely, I'm just going to have you walk. Blankenberg, you're not interested in re-signing, so I don't know how much you're going to be looking for. You want $3.4 million. I don't really want to do that. Josh Stone, how much do you want to play bottom 6 minutes? $2 million for the next 2. I can definitely do that. Shakir, I'm assuming we can sign you for pretty cheap. You want 2.2 for the next 3. That's another incredible deal. But now that we've handed out those deals, let's go sign Quinn Hughes. The only concern I'm having with Quinn Hughes right now is he might not have a lot of organizational interest, and it seems like that's the case. He's also looking for $20 million. And that doesn't really help us too much. But you know what? We will find a way to get this done. Alright, so I made some promises with Quinn Hughes. I couldn't get the organizational interest up, but we're looking at 19.5 for the next 7 seasons. I'm really hoping that's going to be enough for Quinn Hughes. If we miss out on him, we're going to have to make a big time trade. Now, we're going to sign a couple other guys to the team outside of Quinn Hughes. I'm looking at bringing Lusterrain onto the team for $3.4 million. I think he could play some good bottom 6 minutes for me. And then when it comes to one more cheap player I'm looking to bring to the team, Teddy Bluger's not bad, but he is 32 years old. Bobby McMahon's 31 years old. I don't really know if I want to go with him. Granted, we do have a couple young guys that might be jumping into the lineup next season, so maybe we're not going to do anything quite yet. So let's go ahead and simulate a couple days, and we need to pray that Quinn Hughes is going to be joining this team. If we're missing out on Quinn Hughes, then all of that cap space that we have means absolutely nothing, and we're going to have to trade for a number 1 left defenseman. So Quinn Hughes, are you going to be signing a deal with the Nashville Predators to join our organization? We desperately need you here. We need a replacement for Roman Josi, and without Quinn Hughes, I don't really know how good we're going to be next season. Alright, we're off to a terrible start. Lusterrainen's rejecting our offer. When it comes to Quinn Hughes, what is he going to be doing? Well, it looks like Quinn Hughes is going to be joining the Nashville Predators. We got the big free agent we wanted. I think our defense is set. Now we just have to make some improvements to the bottom 6. Now, I think this is how we're going to improve our bottom 6. A second rounder, a 4th and 6th sent over to Seattle. We're bringing in Kakko, but that's not going to be the only deal we do, because now we're going to send Nick Perbix over to the St. Louis Blues so we can bring in Snuggerud and Jake Neighbors. Yes, for some reason, Nick Perbix is actually a close enough trade value for those 2 guys that we only have to throw in a little bit more. And I think that little bit more might be this forward that we drafted, or we go with Lind, and I think we're going to go with Lind. So Perbix and Lind sent over. Snuggerud and Jake Neighbors, welcome to the team. I think Nashville might be ready to compete in the playoffs now. They'll be ready to compete after we give Kakko an extension. And how much does he want? $7.4 million. This might seem risky, but we're going all in. Kakko here is 7.1 for the next 6 seasons. You're going to play some top line minutes. I'm really hoping this works out for us. So a handful of the young guys who've improved on this team. The forward core isn't looking too bad whatsoever. Like, we have 85 overalls on our 4th line. I think we're in a pretty great spot. When it comes to the defense, that's looking incredible. Quinn Hughes, Jamie Drysdale, they're going to be leading the way. But I think we should do something like this. Drysdale, I think it actually makes a little bit more sense for you to play second pairing minutes. Then we spread out the offense a little bit. And then when it comes to goaltending, UC Saros is back up to an 88 overall. I think Nashville's going to surprise some people this season. Now, I'm definitely disappointed with how the Nashville Predators are performing. I was expecting once we brought Quinn Hughes to the team that would solve a lot of our problems. Apparently not. A 32, 26, and 3 record. 3.33 goals per game is something I can't complain about. We're finally putting the puck in the back of the net. We are not defending, though. We are not playing any defense whatsoever, and I don't really know why. We have a handful of defensive defensemen on the team. I actually shouldn't say a handful. I think we only have 2. But I think the main problem is our first line. Philip Forsberg, Trevor Zegras, and Kakko. This just has not worked, and I don't really think it's Kakko's fault. He's new to the team. One guy I'm putting majority of the blame on is Trevor Zegras. He just hasn't fit here, and I think it's time for us to move on. The Trevor Zegras experiment's just not working out here, and we need a new number 1 line center. UC Saros, 24 wins, 3 shouts, a 909 to 292. You're putting up some pretty solid numbers, but Zegras, you have played your final games with the Nashville Predators. It's time for us to move on. So here's what I think we're going to do. Trevor Zegras for Anton Lundell. Now, they're basically the exact same overall. However, Lundell is better defensively, so I think that will help our first line. Yes, he's not the playmaker that Trevor Zegras is, but I still think it's going to work out in our favor. Zegras for Lundell, 1 for 1. They're saying we're quite off when it comes to trade value. Watch us throw in a 7th 7th round pick and this deal gets accepted. I guarantee you this deal with a 7th round pick gets accepted, but what do I know? I guess we actually have to throw something valuable in this deal, like a 3rd round pick. Is that enough to get it done? It looks like it. So to finish out the season, the Nashville Predators were a little bit better. 14th in the entire league, a 43-33-6 record. That's better than what we did last season. We were averaging 3.41 goals per game. That's actually one of the best in the entire league. We had the 7th best offense, and then when it comes to our defense, yeah, we're not going to talk about that because our defense was not that good this season. We were allowing 3.15 goals per game. We have to improve that. Moving forward, we have to work on our defense because that is one thing holding us back right now. Anton Lundell, I'm very curious to see what you did since joining the team. I'm expecting you to do some big things with us. 5 goals and 7 assists for 12 points in 21 games. You're -1. Maybe Anton Lundell's not the answer. Maybe the answer is just moving Jackson Blake up to the first line. Anton Lundell moves down to the second line. Maybe even Logan Stankoven moves up in the lineup. I think we got to change things up here. Something is just not clicking with our team, and I think it's with the lineup. Then again, it could just be the coach. Maybe Brunette is not the answer here. You know what? He clearly isn't the answer. We have basically got rid of the entire Nashville Predators core except for UC Saros and Andrew Brunette. So after this season, Brunette's leaving. So let's just hope that this Nashville Predators team can go on some ridiculous run like they did last season. Can we make it back to the conference finals and maybe even the Stanley Cup Final this time? Well, I guess we're about to find out. We clearly aren't if we're allowing 7 goals in game number 1, especially to the St. Louis Blues. We know how much this game disrespects my St. Louis Blues, but since then we've been absolutely rolling up until game 4, so it's a best of 3 moving forward. Who's going to win the most important game number 5? Well, it looks like it's going to be the Nashville Predators. In all of our games that we've won, we've only allowed 1 goal, so how about another 1 goal allowed performance? We allowed 9 instead. Imagine asking for your team to only allow 1 goal and then they allow 9 goals. They allowed 8 more goals than expected. Nah, this team is kind of full of frauds right now. We're down 2 goals entering the 3rd period, but we're going to make that comeback. Luke Evangelista is picking up the last goal, but we need to win overtime, and that's exactly what we're doing. Kakko is picking up the big OT goal, and we're taking down the St. Louis Blues. I don't know how I should feel about this. Like, yes, we made a big comeback, and we ended up winning in Game 7, but we beat the St. Louis Blues. We beat my St. Louis Blues. So that is a happy, sad victory right there, but we just have to move on. We have the Colorado Avalanche up next. Okay, if we continue to allow 8 goals, there is no way we're going to win a Stanley Cup, and it looks like we're actually going to get swept instead. So yeah, we clearly aren't winning a Stanley Cup. Now, for the 2nd year in a row, it looks like we're going to lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, as the Colorado Avalanche are going to go on to beat the New York Rangers. That's twice in a row now we've lost to the eventual Cup champs, and that's also back-to-back seasons where the eventual Cup champs swept us. So yeah, that is definitely very interesting. Quinn Hughes, you were -10. Yeah, there's something fundamentally wrong with this team. I don't know what it is. I'm thinking it has to be coaching, because based on what this team looks like on paper, I feel like we should be a little bit better than what we are. Now, if you've been watching videos for a long time, you're going to recognize this name right here, Trojanovic. It's time for the reincarnation of Trojanovic. He's finally going to be joining a team once again. Benny Trojanovic, I don't know what you're going to turn into, but you could be an elite player for us. Now, I feel like it's about time that we bring a player like this to the team. Supis is going to be joining us, low elite potential. What do you know about low elite potential players when it comes to the draft? Oh, you know quite a bit about low elite potential players when it comes to the draft? Well, you should, because I've drafted about 8 billion of them. Now, we have a difficult season coming up. So far, the team's been a little bit disappointing. I actually shouldn't say a little bit disappointing. They've been very disappointing. Granted, we've only really been competing for 1 season. The first 2 years were strictly a rebuild, so maybe I shouldn't say we're very disappointing. We were slightly disappointing last season. I was expecting a little bit more from the team, but we do have $12.2 million in cap space moving into next season. Philip Forsberg's modified no trade is kicked in, so we might be ready to make a move. Now I'm going to keep it a $150 with you guys. I don't think Philip Forsberg is going to be the only player traded away, because Payton wise, what have you done since joining the team? You're looking for $6 million right now, and I feel like you haven't really done too much. Last season you had 46 points. I guess you weren't too bad, but I'm not fully convinced that you can be the guy for us. Like, can you be a superstar that's actually going to be able to jump into our top 6? You haven't convinced me yet. And then when it comes to Jamie Drysdale, how much money does he want? He wants 9.8 for 1 season. I don't want to do a 1-year deal, so we'll hold off a little bit with that. But Payton wise, there is a chance that we trade you away. Now we're making some big changes heading into next season. Everyone is eligible to be traded away. I am not attached to any players on this team. I will do what I have to in order to help us win. Philip Forsberg for Lucas Raymond unfortunately isn't going to be enough here. I don't care how many draft picks I have to trade away. I will win this team a Stanley Cup. So I'll give up a 3rd and 4th rounder as well. That's not going to be enough for Lucas Raymond. Maybe we don't trade Forsberg in this deal. Maybe instead we go with Payton Wise. He does fit their trade block, so maybe this deal will be a little bit easier. They're going to be rejecting that one. Do I give up a first round pick? That might seem crazy, but our first rounder has a lot of value right now, and I think we should try to capitalize on that. So if I do Wise and a first round pick, we might be able to get a second rounder back in the deal, maybe a second and third round pick. That would be ideal. I'll offer that over. They're going to be saying no, but they want a little bit more. This deal makes a lot of sense because once we bring Lucas Raymond to the team, the first line is going to be looking elite. But of course, we will still have to trade Philip Forsberg. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. St. Louis, earlier in the video, you gave me Jimmy Snuggerud and Jake Neighbors. It's time to repay the favor. I'm going to give you Philip Forsberg for Ryan Rubrock, and then Ryan Rubrock is going to be flipped over to Columbus. Because once we flip Ryan Rubrock, we're likely going to be bringing Kirill Marchenko to the team. Our first line is going to have a ton of scoring, and I think once we have Marchenko, we might have finally fixed this team. So Ryan Rubrock, I'm going to ship you out. We're going to bring Kirill Marchenko to the team, or do I want Adam Fantilli? Adam Fantilli would be very interesting. He'd be a good power forward on the top line. We already have a sniper in Logan Stankoven, so maybe we go after Adam Fantilli instead. Ryan Rubrock himself isn't going to be enough to get this deal done, but we do have other assets we can throw into this deal. One of those assets being Shakir, but he's locked down for 2.2 for the next 3 years, so maybe I don't want to give him up. Reed's looking like he can be a good young defenseman in the future. Svechkov, I don't really know where you fit on this team, so maybe I can give you up in this deal. Is that going to be enough for Adam Fantilli? They're saying no. I'll throw in a defensive prospect as well, and we might get this done. Now, unfortunately, I think that defensive prospect is going to have to be Reed, but you know what? If I have to give up all three of these players in order to bring Adam Fantilli to the team, I think it's going to be worth it. Now, we're going to finish up this offseason with one more move. Pavel Zacha is going to be sent over to the Buffalo Sabres. Kulik and 2 third-round picks can be acquired. We might not be able to get 2 third-round picks, but what if I throw in a 6th? Because I'll definitely trade a 6th-round pick in order to get 2 third-rounders, and it looks like that's going to be enough to get this deal done. So those are all the offseason moves we're making, except we actually might need a backup goaltender. So yeah, how about we go sign a backup goaltender, and then that will be the final move. And who's our backup going to be? Well, it's a no-brainer. Jack Reeves, welcome to the team. Also, I guess a couple extensions wouldn't hurt. So Jake Neighbors here is $2.9 million. Jimmy Snuggerud, I probably should keep you on this team. Maybe not at $5.4 million. You're kind of bugging. Brady Martin, I can bring you in though. $1.1 million for 1 season. That's a steal. Tanner Molendyk, how much are you going to be looking for? $1 million. Yep, we can definitely do that. And then with everyone else, we're probably looking at 2-way contracts. Except Ozzy wants $2 million. And I don't want to do that. Okay, so I keep yapping about how this is going to be our last move. Then this is going to be our last move. Well, how about we make this our final move? Zach Hyman, $4.8 million for 1 season. We could use you on the bottom 6. So we've gone ahead and got a new coach for the Nashville Predators. The team is looking very different than they did 3 years ago. There's basically nobody left from our original team. That's how many moves we made. That's actually a lie though. There is one player still left from that original team, and that is UC Saros. UC Saros, I have now constructed an elite team around you. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more success this season, maybe even a Stanley Cup. A Stanley Cup might be pushing it though, but this team should be significantly better. Yeah, so I think I fixed the Nashville Predators. A 46-11-5 record. We are the best team in the entire league. In saying that though, Vegas is competing with us right now. They're looking incredible as well. We're scoring 3.61 goals per game, but the most impressive thing is 2.66 goals allowed. We finally fixed the defense on this team. The defense is finally seeing success. Lucas Raymond looks amazing. Logan Stankoven looks amazing. Adam Fantilli, Quinn Hughes, they both look amazing. This team's just looking fantastic from top to bottom. We have finally solved all the issues on this team. UC Saros is looking great this season, a 919 to 246. We finally have our Stanley Cup winning team. We're ready to finish the season on a strong note. We're ready to win a Stanley Cup. So with that being said, I don't think we're going to make any trades here. We're just going to head right to the end of the season and win ourselves a Stanley Cup. Now to finish out the season, the Nashville Predators are winning the President's Trophy, a 58-19-5 record. We're the best team in the entire league. You love to see it. We went through some dark times with this team, but now we're the best in the entire league. Lucas Raymond 105 points, Logan Stankoven 93, Adam Fantilli 84. We had 3-point-a-game scorers, all of them on our first line. And then when it comes to Quinn Hughes, he had 81 points, so only 1 point back. UC Saros was an absolute stud in between the pipes. 45 wins, 5 shots, a 915 to 258. But as we have learned in the past, the regular season means absolutely nothing. Ignore the fact that we've already won game number 1. I accidentally simulated a little too far, but that's neither here nor there. Nashville's in the postseason, and they're ready to finally win a Stanley Cup. This team has been disappointing far too long. It's finally time for them to get past that disappointment and win a Stanley Cup. So far, the defense has been elite through the first 3 games. Can it be the first 4 games? Yes, it can. We're sweeping the Calgary Flames and we're moving on to the second round. Now, as we know, the second round isn't good enough for this team. We have been in the second round before and things have not gone our way. We're looking to bounce back from last season. Last season, we were swept in the second round. We won't allow that to happen again. Instead, we're going to do the sweeping. Right as I was trying to start that sentence, we lost game number 3. That is not a good look, but we'll win game 5 here and we'll move on to the conference finals 8-1. So we're 8-1 heading into the conference finals, but it's our toughest task. We have the Vegas Golden Knights. We know Vegas is an elite team. They're going to put up a big fight, but maybe not as big of a fight as I thought. We are 1 game away from making it to the Stanley Cup Final, and we're here. We're in the Stanley Cup Final. We're taking on the New York Islanders. I need 4 more victories, and then the Nashville Predators will be Stanley Cup champions. We dropped the first 2 games, but we've won 2 straight after that. Can we make it 3 straight victories? No, we can't. We're off to game 6 elimination. Don't go out like this. If you're going to lose in the Stanley Cup Final, do not lose to the New York Islanders. We are a better team than the Islanders. Why is Brady Tkachuk on the Islanders? I have no clue, but they're picking up the first goal. They're going to be picking up another goal in the second period, but Kakko would respond. We need a big-time third period in order to win this game, and we're just not getting that. Jonathan Drouin and Holmstrom are picking up goals. We're falling in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final to the New York Islanders of all teams. Matt Schaefer's getting the Stanley Cup, so is Brady Tkachuk, but I was not expecting the Islanders of all teams to be taking us down here. Like, seriously, the New York Islanders, I was not expecting them out of any team in the NHL. It was the New York Islanders beating us in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. What has happened to this game? Meanwhile, UC Saros 14 wins, one shot a 921 to 238. Nah, bro did absolutely everything in his power to help us win a Stanley Cup. We just didn't give him enough offense. But you know what? This isn't the end of the world. We're going to try to build on this momentum heading into next season. The team is looking good. We basically have everyone under contract. We have a lot of cap space to work with. So maybe we try to go find another superstar in free agency. With that being said, there is somebody that we have to re-sign pretty quick here. And when I say pretty quick, I mean right now. So best buddy, Jamie Drysdale, are you willing to sign an extension with the team? You're still not interested, but we basically have to give you what you're asking for, and this isn't that bad of a price. However, I would like to lock you down for the rest of this video, so how about I give you $6 million with a no movement? If we're going to be doing a contract like that, we're going to be looking at the $10 million range, and honestly, that's not that bad. It actually might end up being more than $10 million. We might be doing $11 million with Jamie Drysdale. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. So how about we go back to the 4 years he was looking for, I give him a no movement in all those seasons, and we get this down to around $9 million. I think this works out for us a little bit better. Jamie Drysdale, here's $9 million for the next 4 years. You're going to be sticking around with the franchise, and then when it comes to everyone else, honestly, I'm not really too worried right now. So the loss in the Stanley Cup Final is not going to be the only disappointment we're seeing. When it comes to the draft, we're not walking away with anything notable, so it's loss after loss right now. I'm used to win after win. Right now, we're experiencing loss after loss. Now, in the re-sign phase, we don't have to worry about too much. I was able to sign a handful of guys to 2-way contracts, but these are all the players that are going to be leaving the team. We'll qualify a couple RFAs, but we're going to make some moves in free agency, and that shouldn't be too difficult considering we have $18 million to work with. Now, I'm not going to lie, the free agent class is a little bit disappointing here. Like, I'm not seeing a lot of superstars. However, there are a couple guys that I guess we could sign to 1-year deals and they could play some bottom 6 minutes for me, and I think that might end up being the case. Andre, you are very interesting. 1.2 million for 1 season. You're an 84 overall. What if we did 2 years with you? If we did 2 years, you're looking at 1.3 million. I will do 1.7 or something, maybe even 1.8 million dollars for 2 years. I know we don't need a defenseman, but you're an 84 overall, and I think you'd be amazing on our third pairing. But yeah, basically when it comes to any other move here, I'm not really interested in too much. Alright, so I have a plan here. Detroit, I'll give you your second round pick back, and I'll even give you our second rounder for 2030. All I need is my first round pick for this season. They're going to hand that over pretty easily. Now it's time for us to make a splash in free agency. But we're going to be going after an RFA. We're going to be offer sheeting Quinton Byfield. I'm going to give him $15 million for the next 6 seasons. He's going to join our team, and he's going to be an absolute superstar. Yes, I have to give up 4 first round picks, but I'm willing to do so. So now that we've given Quinton Byfield that qualifying offer, we're just going to simulate a couple days to see if he's accepting, and it looks like he is. Andre is also going to be accepting, so he's going to be joining the team. But the real question is, Quinton Byfield, are the LA Kings going to match that, or are you going to be joining the team? Because if we can walk away with Quinton Byfield here, the team would be looking incredible right now. And is that going to be the case? It doesn't look like they're going to be matching, so we're giving up our next 4 years of first round picks. That's perfectly fine. Quinton Byfield, welcome to the team. And now that we have Quinton Byfield, I'm going to keep it a stack, Lundell. I don't don't think we need you anymore. Actually, I take that back. Lundell, we're going to hold on to you. Kakko, we're going to trade you away instead. So what we're going to do with Kakko is I'm going to send him over to the Washington Capitals so we can bring in Jet Luchenko and Ivan Miroshnichenko. The big reason that we're going to do a deal like this is just so we can free up a lot of cap space. Like, we're freeing up about $4 million in cap space for next season, and that's going to be very important when it comes to giving Lundell his extension. So Anton Lundell, we're going to be bringing you back to the team. You're looking for around $6.3 million. I think we can get that down to the $5 million range, and that's what we're going to do. 5.8 for the next 6 seasons, an absolute steal. So we'll go ahead and make one more trade before we head into next season. 2 RFAs have been sent over to Winnipeg so we can bring in Brad Lambert. I think Lambert's going to be playing some 4th line minutes for me this season, but with that trade complete, we're now ready to roll. So we went ahead and improved on our team from last season, and last season we were one of the best in the entire league. Why on earth would we do something like this? I think Quinn Hughes should play on our first pairing. I think that's just the smart decision here. Why on earth would we play him on the second? That makes absolutely no sense. UC Saros, you're 34 years old. You are getting up there in age, but until I see that overall start regressing, you're going to be our guy. Also, I think there's a very good chance moving forward we're probably not going to be stopping at the trade deadline. We're going to be sticking with this team for the entire season, and I think that's probably the right decision considering we're going to win 55 plus games. Now, surprisingly, we're not going to be the top team this season, second in the entire league with a 53-21-8 record. I'm shocked to see the Florida Panthers ahead of us. I was thinking with the addition of Quinton Byfield, nobody was going to be able to stop us. We were going to build on all the momentum we saw last season, but we didn't really get that. Lucas Raymond 104 points, Quinton Byfield 83 points, Logan Stankoven 81 points, Quinn Hughes 80 points, Adam Fantilli 76. So the offense was definitely better for this team, but the defense definitely took a step back, and so did goaltending. UC Saros, why on earth did you post an 894 and a 321? What happened to you this season? Is UC Saros starting to regress a little bit? He might be, because these numbers right here, this just isn't it. Like, look at Jet Greaves' numbers. He should probably be the starter heading into the postseason, but we gotta stick with UC Saros. He was the guy the entire year. We're taking on Minnesota in the first round. We have to get back to the Stanley Cup Final, but actually win this time. Now, we can't be focused on getting our revenge quite yet, because we have to make it to the Stanley Cup Final first. And in order to make it to the Stanley Cup Final first, we have to make it out of the first round, and things are not looking good for us. We're down 3-1 already. We were in the Stanley Cup Final last season as one of the best teams in the entire league, and we are currently the second best team in the entire league, and we're down 3-1 to a wildcard team. What has happened to the Nashville Predators? What has happened to this great team? Can this great team show up in overtime? It doesn't look like it, but that's perfectly fine because they're just going to show up in double overtime. Seamus Casey just scored an OT winner. Ain't no way Seamus Casey of all players is picking up an OT winner. Now, the reason Seamus Casey scoring that OT winner is so crazy is because I pulled this the other day. And when I say the other day, I literally mean yesterday. Seamus Casey Young Guns. I was opening up some packs trying to get Macklin Sabrini and Michkov. I got Seamus Casey instead. Pulled bro yesterday. Now he's scoring OT winners against me. You can't make this up. So I just want to point out, last season we lost to the Islanders, and that marked the 3rd straight season where we ended up losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champions. If you're curious on what the Minnesota Wild did in the postseason after taking us down, they lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. We almost lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champs 4 years in a row. Nah, Nashville is in the absolute trenches right now. Obviously, the scoring numbers don't look good because we lost in 5 games. I do want to point out, though, 5 of our goals came from Adam Fantilli. The highest goal scorer after Adam Fantilli was everyone else with 1 goal. So yeah, nobody really did anything. UC Saros, the numbers were nothing special. We might have to move on from Saros. He might not be the guy anymore. Based on his regular season performance and his postseason performance here, I think Saros might be past his prime. Okay, so we got to do a little bit of winning in the draft. We haven't been winning in the postseason. At least let me win in the draft. A medium top 6 potential forward isn't enough. I need a mediumly potential player. And just in case you were wondering, this guy had medium elite inaccurate scouting, so I thought I'd take a flyer on him. He has medium 7th D potential. If that doesn't sum up this video, I don't know what does. Alright, so I have no clue what just happened with Josh Stone, but bro is an 88 overall now. Why on earth is Josh Stone an 88 overall? Obviously, we can't afford him because he wants $10.2 million. But yeah, what happened to Josh Stone? What was that crazy progression that nobody saw coming? That trade we originally made where we brought Josh Stone in, it would be looking significantly better right now if we were able to keep him on the team. But yeah, he progressed in a way I wasn't expecting. Molendyk, you're up to an 83 overall. I guess you you could probably play some third pairing minutes next season. I'm not 100% sure. We actually have 2 better defensemen over you. So yeah, I don't really know where you fit in the lineup. Meanwhile, I'm Marchessault. Here's $2.2 million for the next 2 years. Our team is basically set. We're just looking to run it back next season. We're going to be losing Josh Doan, but that's perfectly fine. We have a couple guys that can take his spot. Now, Mikey Anderson's contract is coming to an end. He has 1 year left being this season. He's looking for an extension, and I have no clue how much he's going to be looking for. He wants $13.8 million. I can't commit that to you. We already have a number 1 left defenseman in Quinn Hughes. I can't give you $13 million. So Mikey Anderson, I think we're going to be moving on. Jake Neighbors, we might move on from you as well because you want $6.6 million. And if I package both of these guys up, we actually might be able to get a star player. Also, Andre and Shakir also need extensions as well. There's going to be a lot of players leaving the team, but there's also going to be a handful of interesting trades. Before we make any of those moves though, Brad Lambert, here's $2 million for the next 2 seasons. Adam Enstrom, you might play some bottom 6 minutes for me. I haven't really decided, but here's $975K for 1 season. And then of course, like always, a lot of 2-way contracts. So I think this is what we're going to do. Mikey Anderson and Jake Neighbors are both going to be packaged up here. We're going to send them both over to the Islanders for Matthew Schaefer. Matthew Schaefer is going to join the team. He's going to play some second pairing minutes behind Quinn Hughes. We have the greatest defense of all time. Unfortunately, they are rejecting this deal, but I think we just might have to do a 3-team trade. I think a 3-team trade would make this significantly easier. They're interested in young defensemen. We can find a young defenseman somewhere. Okay, so I was looking for somewhere to ship out Mikey Anderson, and I found the Montreal Canadiens were interested in him. They're also interested in Jake Neighbors. Would you give up Lane Hutson for both of these guys? Now, I understand our defense would be very questionable because of the amount of offensive defensemen we have. However, I'm not really going to worry about that. I think if we score enough goals, that's going to solve all of our problems. They're not accepting this deal quite yet. I'll give you a second rounder as well. Is that going to be enough? We have a defense here, and I don't know how I should feel about it. Now, I know Andre's not going to be coming back next season. He's looking for too much money. So how about we pick up Grayson Brookbank from the Pittsburgh Penguins? He can play some amazing bottom 6 minutes. It's a little bit low, so I'll give him a 7th round pick. Like, we know for a fact that Andre's not coming back, so we might as well ship him out and get something for him, and Brookbank's going to be that player. Now, when it comes to this team's goal scoring, I am very confident that we are going to be able to score goals this season. Like, we have multiple offensive defensemen, and when I say multiple, I mean a lot of offensive defensemen. I believe we have 4 offensive defensemen. Yes, we do. Out of our 6 defensemen, 4 of them are offensive defensemen. So yeah, the only thing I am slightly concerned about this season is keeping the puck out of our net. We're going to score goals. Can we keep the puck out though? Alright, I didn't plan on stopping at the trade deadline, but we have to make an adjustment to this team. We're 12th in the entire league, a 32-26-5 record. The offense is great. The defense is atrocious. UC Saros, you're gone. Lane Hutson, you're gone as well. We need a better goaltender, and we need a defensive defenseman on the team. Plain and simple. That's all we have to do here. UC Saros, you are not that guy anymore. Where can I trade you? I actually can't trade you yet. Jack Reeves, I might have to trade you in order to get a better goaltender. Okay, what are we talking about? Seriously, what are we talking about? An 89 overall for Stuart Skinner. In what universe does he develop to an 89 overall? Yeah, that's just ridiculous. So it turns out the Lane Hutson deal is working out very well for us. He's up to a 90 overall. He's plus 14 this season, but clearly we need some more defensive help. So I'm sending him over to the Islanders. We're bringing in Matt Schaefer as well as a 1st round pick. I actually tried to trade for Matt Schaefer earlier and we weren't able to, but this time we're definitely going to be able to get him. On top of bringing in Matt Schaefer, I wouldn't mind bringing in another defenseman here. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, you actually might be able to fill that role. I know you're not a superstar defensive player. However, you're probably better than Tanner Molendyk on our 3rd pairing, because Molendyk is another offensive defenseman. We don't need more offensive defensemen on this team. I think this is the trade that we have to make. Now, with the remaining $4 million we have left here, I don't know if it's possible for us to get a new goaltender, but I'm going to try. I mean, I guess the first thing I could do is talk to UC Saros. Maybe he's willing to waive his no movement. I highly doubt it, but we could ask him. It's very convincing. Okay, UC Saros, I'll trade you away. So UC Saros, which team are you willing to be traded to? The Montreal Canadiens. I don't know how we're going to make that work, but we'll find a way. So what we'll do is UC Saros over to the Montreal Canadiens. We'll take on Montepult as well as a 3rd round pick. But since Montepult does have a no movement or even a modified no trade, we can just flip him somewhere else and then we can go get the player that we actually want. So Monty, let's just figure out which team is interested in a goaltender. Is there any team actually interested in Montebolt? If so, that's where we'll send you, and it looks like the Columbus Blue Jackets are interested. So Columbus, you can have Montebolt, just give me a 4th round pick back in exchange. This is a pretty fair deal, but now it's time for us to make the main deal. This is the trade I wanted to make from the very beginning. We've already brought in Matt Schaefer, but now it's time to get the other player that I want. They're currently on the San Jose Sharks, and who is that goaltender? It's not Askarov. Instead, it's Ravensburgen. Ravensburgen, welcome to the team. You're under contract for the next 5 years. I know for a fact we have a handful of draft picks to work with, so let's start trading those draft picks. I'll give you a 3rd and 2 4th rounders. I don't think that's quite enough for Ravensburgen, but it might be because they're looking to move him. They're going to say no to that deal. How about I give you another 4th round pick? I'll give you a 3rd rounder and 3 4th round picks for Ravensburgen. They're going to be accepting that deal, and now we're ready to win a Stanley Cup. We improved our defense by getting rid of 2 offensive defensemen. We even got an upgrade in between the pipes. Nashville shouldn't have any concerns moving forward. Now, if this season doesn't sum up the Nashville Predators as a whole, I don't know what does. So after countless great seasons in a row, this team just completely collapsed and finished as the 2nd wildcard team in the West. A 44-32-6 record. Why are we getting worse? Like, there is no reason this team should be taking steps backwards. They should only be taking steps forward. A lot of the young guys on this team continue to improve. A lot of them are even better than they have been in the past. This team just decided, nah, we're going to suck this season. We're not going to do anything right. Ravensburgen, since you joined the team, what were your numbers? 11 wins, 1 shutout, a 908 and a 278. These are better numbers than what UC Saros had, so technically you have been an upgrade for us. But are you going to be good enough when the postseason comes around? When the lights are the brightest, can you be that guy? I'm not 100% sure, but then again, UC Saros wasn't good enough. So maybe you can be. To be fair though, I shouldn't blame UC Saros because that man did carry us on one postseason run, and then in the Stanley Cup Final we decided, nah, we're not going to score. We're just not going to score at all here. UC Saros, we need a shutout from you in every game. Obviously that wasn't realistic, and obviously that didn't happen, and we ended up losing in the Stanley Cup Final. But so far in the first round, we haven't dominated by any means. We've tied the series up. We're moving into game number 5, which is a must win for us, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So can we win one more game and move on to the second round? I think that would be a great idea, and thankfully this team's going to be listening to me, so we're moving on. So we're moving on to the second round to find the Minnesota Wild, another Central Division team. It's a Central Division matchup. I also want to point out we beat the best team in the Central Division in the Colorado Avalanche because we were a wild card team. We were the second wild card team, and we took down one of the best teams in the NHL. Maybe I actually can believe in this Nashville Predators team. In saying that, we're going to drop Game 5 and Game 6. I'm predicting that right now. Okay, what do I know? We're winning Game 5. We're going to lose Game number 6. Okay, so far all my predictions have been wrong. Every prediction I make has been wrong. So how about we get swept? We're going to get swept in the conference finals. That's exactly what's going to happen here. We're going to get swept. We're going to lose Game 5, and we're not going to make it to the Stanley Cup Final. Okay, we are going to continue with this logic because I am a conspiracy theorist, and this is working for me. So we've made it to the Stanley Cup Final, only 4 more losses to go, and we're going to lose 4 straight games. Okay, we actually might do that. We almost lost 4 straight games. Luckily, we're winning game number 4, but we have a big hill to climb. Can we win game number 5? Yes, we can. Now can we win game 6? Win me one more game so we can make it to game 7. Here we go. Game 7. Normally, I would just simulate game 7, but I'm jumping into this one. I don't care if I destroy the momentum. It's game 7. Nothing in the past matters. This is the only game that matters. Each team is picking up 2 goals in the first period. Moving into the second, it's Lundell. 1 more elite period. That's all I need. 20 more minutes of elite defense and elite offense, and we'll be Stanley Cup champions. We did it. The Nashville Predators won a Stanley Cup after being down 3-0 in the series, finishing as the second wildcard team. We went on to win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I don't know what just happened here, but you know what? I won't complain. I cannot describe what happened. I can't really comprehend what just happened, but the Nashville Predators are Stanley Cup champions. This team was down 3-0. They made the comeback. They won a Stanley Cup. The offense was great, but one man won us this cup. And who is that man? Ravensburgen. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Jet Greaves, a 571 and a 615. I understand you only played 29 minutes, but you faced 7 shots and allowed 3 goals. Bro, what were you doing? But Ravensburgen, a 923 and a 251. You were the answer for us. When the lights were the brightest, you were the guy to step up. And because of that, the Nashville Predators are Stanley Cup champions. We have 4 seasons left in the rebuild. that means 4 more Stanley Cups. So not only is this team winning in the postseason, but we're starting to win again in the draft. We're getting a lowly potential player. Not that long ago, it was loss after loss. Now it's back to win after win. Now, when it comes to extensions, I don't think we're bringing anyone back to the team. Shakir's looking for too much money. Kachuk doesn't want to sign a two-way contract, so we're just going to be qualifying him as an RFA. I'll sign these rookies, and then that's all we're going to do. Now, one of these 3 players is likely going to be leaving the team. I'm not sure which player it's going to be, but it's not going to be Lucas Raymond. Okay, it might be Lucas Raymond. He wants $17 million. As great of a player he is, I can't do $17 million. I probably can't re-sign Adam Fantilli. Tom Willander, can you help me out? Yes, you can. You're going to be the only guy signing a reasonable deal. I'll lock you down for $7 million for the next 5 years. I'll keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. That's a reasonable enough contract. With these 2 guys right here, I think we're trading both of them. Also, Brookbank, you've actually been a very good player on our bottom 6. I'll keep you around for $2.9 million. That's a steal. Like, how many points did you have last season with us? 30 goals and 19 assists? Yeah, I can't ask for much more. And then Jet Greaves, I'll do 1.6 for the next 2. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. Lucas Raymond, you're looking for $17 million, and I can't do that. Demidov, $13 million is a little bit ridiculous for you, but you had 70 assists last season, and I think if I put you on our top line, this is going to work out for us. So yeah, Montreal's accepting that. We also got Savage. He's going to play some bottom 6 minutes for us. I think that's likely the only move we're making over the offseason. So it turns out we actually need to make one more deal before we head into next season because I need a right defenseman. So Oliver Bonk, welcome to the team. We're giving up Molendyk in the deal. Now, we've successfully won 1 Stanley Cup with the Nashville Predators, but I don't believe 1 Stanley Cup is good enough for this team. We have a lot of talented players on this team. We have a great goaltender in Ravensburgen who's won a Stanley Cup with us. I think we should finish this video off with a 5-peat, 4 more Stanley Cups. Is that unrealistic? Maybe. But with the team that we have here, I do think it is possible. Now, what are we really talking about though? A 5-peat to finish the video off? That's not happening. At some point, we're going to lose. But a 5-peat would be the dream. Now, I think getting rid of Juuse Saros was always the answer. We needed to get rid of that final piece from the Nashville Predators core. A 16-19-3 record, 3.67 goals per game, 2.57 allowed. The offense is looking amazing. The defense is looking spectacular as well. We had 2-point-a-game scorers, but Demidov wasn't too far off. He's picking up 81 points. And then when it comes to Ravensburgen, 45 wins, 5 shots, a 920 and a 234. This was the answer. This is the guy we've been waiting for. Juuse Saros, you just had too much of that old Nashville core in your system. We needed something new. And now that we have Ravensburgen, no one can stop us. So we're the reigning Stanley Cup champions. We just won the President's Trophy. We're the best team in the entire league. Can we go back-to-back here? I guess we're about to find out. We dropped game number 1. Not a great start, but luckily we are going to respond in game number 2. Moving into game 3, we're dropping that one. Don't drop game number 4. Luckily, we don't have to worry about dropping that one. We're going to shut them out in game number 4. We're moving on to game 5. That's a must-win for us. And unfortunately, when the lights are the brightest, we're losing that one. We're now facing elimination moving into game 6. We were a 60-win team, by the way. And we might lose in the first round. We were looking incredible, and now we might lose in the first round unless we wake up. Oliver Bonk's picking up a big-time goal, but is it going to be enough moving into the third period? Yes, it is, because we're picking up 2 more goals. We have Game 7 coming up. Now, I feel like a wildcard team shouldn't be putting this much pressure on us. Like, we are the best team in the entire league. There is no way we're going out in the first round. We have a 2-0 lead entering the third period. Can we close it out here? It looks like we will. Sam Steele would pick up a late goal, but who cares about that one? We're moving on to the second round, a 2-1 victory. But even though we're moving on, I have questions about this team. Like, a wildcard team just took us to 7 games. There is no reason Dallas should have put that much pressure on us. Hopefully, we're going to use that as motivation and we're going to lock in moving forward. We have the Winnipeg Jets in round number 2, and it looks like this team has finally figured it out. That's 2 straight victories. Unfortunately, we're dropping back-to-back games after that. We have not figured it out, apparently. I thought we figured it out. No, we have not. We have now lost 3 games in a row. It better not be 4 games in a row. Luckily, we're going to be responding, and now we're off to another Game 7. So this Game 7 is going to send us to the conference finals if we're able to win. It's going to be a scoreless first period. Moving into the second, I think some goals were scored here, and it looks like we're picking up 2 to their 1. So we're moving into the third with a 1-goal lead. This is definitely the position you want to be in until you allow back-to-back goals and lose the game. Yeah, so that's not the position you want to be in. Leading 2-1 after 2 periods, things are looking good. Allowing 2 unanswered goals after that, not really ideal. Now, I feel like this shouldn't surprise me. After losing to the Winnipeg Jets, they would go 8-1 to finish out the postseason. They're winning the Stanley Cup, so once again, we're losing to the eventual Stanley Cup champs. Lundell, 12 points. Quinn Hughes, 12 points. Fantilli, 10. Quinton, Byfield, 10. I'm starting to think goaltending might have let us down a little bit, and was that the case? I guess not. A 923 and a 247. It was the offense. We weren't scoring enough goals when the postseason came around. Ravensburgen did what he could here, but the offense just wasn't there. And to make things even worse, who are we going to be losing over the offseason? Well, one of our key players in Adam Fantilli. He was actually our leading scorer when it came to a forward. So yeah, we're in a tough situation right now. Now with the 188th overall pick, we are going incredibly off the board here. But you know what? We don't have a 7th round pick, so we might as well go really far off the board. Rick Spencer, welcome to the team. Low elite potential. He's only a 49 overall at 18 years old, so he's definitely not going to turn into anything for us. But when I see a low elite potential player available, I just have to draft them. Now it's certainly a tough day for us, but Adam Fantilli is going to be leaving the team. We just don't have enough money for him. Oliver Bonk, I'm assuming you're leaving the team as well. You want $6 million. I'm not giving you that. David Edenstrom, how much are you looking for? 2.2 million. I'll do 2.1 for the next 2 years. You play good 4th line minutes, so I'm not against bringing you back. I'm Rosnichenko. You want 3.2 million. I just can't do that. Meanwhile, Jet Luchenko, how much do you want? I'll do 2.2 for the next 2 with you as well. So after bringing back Edstrom and Jet Luchenko, we should be pretty good when it comes to our bottom 6. So I'll just sign a couple rookies and then we'll get ready for next season. Granted, there are a couple extensions we're going to have to hand out. Now, Jamie Drysdale, your extension is going to be by far the most costly for this team. I gave you no movement earlier, so that means I can't even trade you away. You want 13.7 million. We already lost Adam Fantilli. I don't think we can afford to lose Jamie Drysdale as well, so we're going to have to find a way to bring him back to the team. And you know what? This contract might be easier than I was thinking. 11.5 for the next 6 seasons. That leaves us with about $4 million. Brady Martin will write out your contract for this season, but maybe not. I can bring you back as well. We'll do $3.3 million for the next 2 years, and you can continue to play some 3rd line minutes for me. And then when it comes to everyone else, I'll just find replacements next free agency. Now, I wasn't too worried about losing Adam Fantilli because we had another elite player in the system, Grayson Brookbank. Now, one thing about Grayson, this man can score goals. He's going to take shots and he's going to score goals. And in the past 2 seasons in which he's played on our team, he's been playing bottom 6 minutes. Now it's time for him to jump into a top 6 role and absolutely dominate the NHL. The forward core is looking the exact same. The defense is basically looking the exact same as well. Ravensburgen's up to an 88 overall. It's revenge season for the team. Alright, so Nashville's all over the map. One season they're winning 40 games and winning a Stanley Cup. The next season they're winning 60 games and losing in the second round. This season, 8th in the entire league, a 48-30-4 record, 3.32 goals per game, 2.76 allowed. I feel like the worse we perform during the regular season, the better we do in the playoffs. I know that statement makes absolutely no sense, but I feel like that's how this game works. The worse we do in the regular season, the better we do in the postseason. We have seen it time and time again. When we're at the top of the league, we fold in the playoffs. When we're mid during the regular season, we win a Stanley Cup. It doesn't make sense. So I guess we'll see if that trend's going to continue. We were 8th in the entire league. We're taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I think we were actually above Vancouver in the standings, but because we're a wildcard team, we're taking on the winner of the Pacific Division, so we're actually better off somehow. Yeah, it's very confusing, but just understand, as a wildcard team, we want to take on Pacific Division teams because we're better than all the Pacific Division teams. We're taking down Vancouver in 5 games. We're likely going to have another easy second round matchup, but the conference finals is where things get difficult. So we're moving on to the next round where we're going to see the Edmonton Oilers. Now, once again, I believe we were ahead of the Edmonton Oilers in the standings. I'm not really expecting them to do too much against us. Honestly, we should walk straight to the conference finals. I can't see any of these teams really competing with us. Yeah, we're 8-1 moving into the conference finals, but now we're going to have a tough task. Our toughest matchup is coming up next, and who's that going to be? The St. Louis Blues. Why am I not surprised? We're seeing the St. Louis Blues in the conference finals, and this team is absolutely rolling. 12-1. We were 8th in the entire league, and we're 12-1 heading into the Stanley Cup Final. We just said, nah, we're done losing. We lost game number 1, and we've won 12 straight games after that. Like, if we didn't drop game number 1 in round 1, we'd be 12-0 right now. We're moving into the Stanley Cup Final. I need 4 more victories. Are we sweeping the Rangers? We just about swept them. We just about won 16 straight games. Unfortunately, we're dropping game 4, and we're dropping game 5. Do not drop game 6. You guys cannot drop game 6, and we don't have to worry about it. The Nashville Predators, Stanley Cup champions, 16-3 in the playoffs after finishing 8th in the entire league. You can't make this up. That is just Nashville Predators Predator fashion. If you're at the very top of the league, you're going to fold when the playoffs come around. If you're a wild card team, though, watch out for this team because they're going to lock in. Lundell had 31 points, Demidov had 23, Logan Stankoven 20, but why on earth did Lundell have 12 goals and 19 assists for 31 points? Keep in mind, bro only had 7 power play points. So that means he had 24 5-on-5 points. Yeah, he was absolutely locked in. If you take away all of his power play points, he still leads the team in scoring. That's crazy work. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ravensburgen, 16 wins, a 920 and a 235. You've now won 2 Stanley Cups in the past 3 years with us, but we still have 2 years remaining. So how about another 2 when we finish this off with a three-peat? Okay, hold on. Something just happened that I was not prepared for. With the 224th overall pick, I think we got a mediumly potential player. I don't know if they were a goaltender, a forward, or a defenseman. Basically, when I got to the 7th round, I sorted every prospect by potential, and there was nobody that stood out to me. Everyone had inaccurate scouting. There was nothing good I was going to get, so I just simulated the 7th round. I didn't make a selection, but apparently we got something good. I have no clue what we just drafted or who we just drafted, but it looks like we got ourselves a mediumly potential goaltender, Kahn. We drafted Kahn, 18 years old, starting off as a 60 overall. He was drafted 224th overall by the Nashville Predators. How on earth did we find this guy? Like, when I sorted by potential, Kahn did not have mediumly potential. I don't know how we just got a mediumly potential goaltender there. So yeah, that is certainly an interesting selection. When it comes to the moves we're making during the re-sign phase, we're going to sign rookies and let everyone else walk. Now we're heading into the final 2 years, and this is where things could get a little bit sketchy. Quinn Hughes, we're basically forced to keep you on this team. We can't allow you to walk. So we're going to be re-signing Quinn Hughes, and we're going to be saving some money with him. We'll do $15 million for the next 3 years, or at least that's what I'd like to do, and I think he should be willing to accept that. So Quinn Hughes, you're coming back to the team. When it comes to Demidov's deal, we should be able to do cheaper than $13 million, and it looks like that's going to be the case. Could we do like 11.5 or something? I don't think we'll get it quite down to 11.5, but maybe we will. I think trying to convince Demidov to accept 11.5 is going to be a little bit too low, so how about we do 11.75 for 7 years? So we're saving over $1 million with Demidov. We're saving about $4 million with Quinn Hughes. Logan Stankoven, it's time for you to get paid. And how much do you want? $14 million. I shouldn't really be surprised at that. Jackson Blake, how much do you want? You're asking for $13 million. I think what we're going to do is we're going to sign Logan Stankoven, and then Jackson Blake, we might move on from you. So Stankoven, what we're going to do is $12.5 million for the next 6 seasons. Maybe not quite that low. How about 12.8 for the next 6 seasons? So we'll be able to bring you back to the team. Brookbank, I don't know what we're going to do with you. How much do you want? You want $6.3 million. What if I give you a no movement? Can we get this down quite a bit? If I give you a no movement, we can actually save quite a bit of money. We'll get this down to $5.2 million, actually $5.3 million. And then Savage, how much do you want? Because maybe you just replaced Jackson Blake, and I think that's going to be the case. So I'll give you $2.6 million. Actually, we'll do 2.5 for Savage. You'll take over for Jackson Blake next season. And I think because of the moves we made in the cap space we have, we actually don't have to make any moves here. We're just going to run it back with the exact same team. And then next season, we'll make a few small moves and then we'll be good to go. So we're entering the final 2 seasons, looking to complete a three-peat. And I just want to point out who's joined the team. Benji Trojanovic is here. He's ready to dominate some 4th line minutes. The team is looking absolutely spectacular. We have 490 overalls when it comes to the defense. I don't care if we have some 70 overalls here. That doesn't matter. And then when it comes to goaltending, this makes no sense. That actually annoys me. He dropped 3 overalls after putting up incredible numbers. The regular season numbers, don't care about. The postseason numbers is what we're going to talk about. A 920 and a 235. That's what Ravensburgen did during the postseason. He went 16-3, and because of that, he dropped 3 overalls. That's why this game makes no sense. The overalls in NHL 26 confuse me so much. How can somebody be so dominant in the middle of their prime and then regress 3 overalls? Okay, hold on. We're not turning on the face cam. We are just locking in for this postseason run because we are putting a theory to the test. I'm not going to tell you what that theory is. You'll figure it out at the end of the postseason run. We're winning game number 1 and we're winning game number 2. We've only allowed 2 goals in the first 2 games. We're winning game 3 as well. Are we going to start 4-0? It doesn't look like it. Nashville might be dropping game 4, but they're going to respond in game 5 and move on to the second round. I've seen this team respond before. It's another shutout from Ravensburgen. Bro's locked in right now. now. Now, if Ravensburgen's picking up 2 shutouts in the first round, then I think we might cruise to a Stanley Cup. However, I've seen things change quickly. The offense can be looking absolutely elite, and the defense fantastic, and then you allow 5 goals, and then you allow 6 goals. We scored 5 luckily, and then we're going to respond in game 4. But the offense and defense has to be good once again. We're going to win 3 straight games. Can we make it 4 straight games and move on to the conference finals? It looks like it. Those first 2 games definitely scared me, but you know what? We won 4 straight after that. We're moving on to the conference finals, and now we have the Vegas Golden Knights. We are 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup Final, but let's just take it one game at a time. We dropped game number 1, but we're winning back-to-back-to-back games. Can we make it 4 in a row, though, and move on to the Stanley Cup Final? Nashville's back. So they're back in the Stanley Cup Final, and it is revenge season. A long time ago, the Islanders took us out. Now it's time to get back. But the last time we lost to the Islanders, we had UC Saros on the team. This time we have Ravensburgen, and Ravensburgen does not lose. Yeah, we're moving on. We are moving on. Okay, that aged so incredibly poorly. I don't think I have ever seen something age that poorly. Ravensburgen does not lose, and he proceeded to lose 4 games in a row. So we had a 58-20-4 record. The theory I was putting to the test is the better this team does during the regular season, the worse they do in the postseason. And you know what? I still believe that theory, because we got swept in the Stanley Cup Final to a team that really wasn't that great. A 43-30-9 record. We should have beat this team. 10 times out of 10, we should be beating that team. But I guess we're not. We're going to be losing because we got swept in the Stanley Cup Final. Ravensburgen, I don't care. I don't care about numbers whatsoever. Swept in the Stanley Cup Final after saying bro can't lose. A 921 and a 236, swept in the Cup Final. No, you can't make this up. I can't believe that just happened. We have one more season to win one more Stanley Cup, but bro really did that. Yeah, so I'm going to be completely honest. I don't care about the draft. I don't care whatsoever. Swept in the Stanley Cup Final. That just happened. I'm not really too focused on any moves we're making over the offseason here. Like, there's really not that much for us to do. We don't have that much money to work with. We have $9.3 million. Who can we sign? Jackson Blake, I'm 90% sure we don't have enough money for you. You want $14.4 million. That's just not happening. David Enstrom, I'm pretty sure we can't afford you. Actually, yes, we can, so maybe we can keep you on the team. Here's 3.5 for the next 2 years. Jet Luchenko, how much money do you want? You want $5 million? We actually might be able to do that. Like, I'll give you a no movement just so we can save quite a bit of money. Maybe we can get this down to $4 million. I'll do $4 million for one season. I'll even give you a no movement. And if both of these guys accept these contracts, then we're basically ready to roll for next season. We have everyone we need under contract, except for Jack Greaves. We do need to re-sign Jack Greaves, and he wants $8.1 million. Get off my team. Greaves, don't be asking for $8.1 million. I can't wait to meet you in the Stanley Cup Final and you beat us. Crazy thing is, that has literally happened before, and my controller died. Nothing's going right now. Now, it turns out there's actually one thing we need to do before we head into next season. We need to find 2 cheap players for the bottom 6. Anton Wahlberg, you're going to be one of those players at $1.2 million. Welcome to the team. We didn't necessarily need a centerman, but you know what? I'm going to sign one anyway. I can just move him to one of the wings. Justin Carbonneau, I would love to bring you to the team because I know for a fact you can score goals, so welcome. And while we're at it, how about we just sign a left winger? I don't think we actually need a left winger, but we might as well bring one in. Isaac Howard, you can be that guy. Here's $1.7 million. We're ready to win a Stanley Cup. All right, now I'm embarrassed about what happened last season, and I think everyone on the Nashville Predators is also embarrassed. I hate the fact that our coach always puts Quinn Hughes on the second pairing. He is a 95 overall and the best defenseman in the game right now. Don't disrespect my mans like that. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ravensburgen's still an 85 overall. They just hate this man, don't they? NHL 26 hates Ravensburgen. They don't want to see that man have success. He was an 88 overall, won a Stanley Cup, and they said, you know what? We're going to reward you by dropping you 3 overalls. That's what you get for winning a Stanley Cup and being dominant. You drop 3 overalls. Now, we already know what's going to happen in the postseason. We're going to be disappointed. We won the President's Trophy. We are the best regular season team. And I want to emphasize that. The best regular season team. Not the best postseason team, because that's not going to be us. We're the best regular season team. I've seen it time and time again. We know what's going to happen. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. This team could win the President's Trophy every season, and I don't think they would end up winning a Stanley Cup. You can be the best regular season team 10 years in a row, but that won't result in any postseason success. We've already lost 2 games. That is not a great start. It better not be 3 straight losses. Luckily, we're going to be responding, but win game 4. All right, this video is going to end on a very bad note. Unless we make a 3-1 series comeback, I'm just not expecting that to happen. We're winning game number 5. Can we steal game 6 now? Game 6 is a must-win for this team. When the lights are the brightest, they're going to be winning, and now we're in game 7. You know what they say? It's the hope that kills you. The hope is going to kill us right here. We are making a 3-1 series comeback. We have all the hope in the world. This team is going to come crashing down. I have seen it happen a million times. Did we make the comeback? Yes, we did. We scored how many goals in the third period? 5 goals. 5 goals to their 2. Watch us lose in overtime. Yep, not surprised at all. We're losing in the first round after being the President's Trophy winners. You can't make this up. That is the Nashville Predators way right there. Win the President's Trophy, lose in the first round. You can look absolutely elite, and it does not matter. You will find a way to lose when it matters most. But if you're a wild card team, on the other hand, or a team that's not even in the top 5, watch them go on some ridiculous run and absolutely dominate the NHL and win a Stanley Cup. That is what happened with this Nashville Predators team. I believe over these 10 years, we ended up making it to 4 Stanley Cup Finals. We won 2 of them and we lost 2 of them. In the 2 Stanley Cups we won, I believe we were 11th in the entire league and 8th in the entire league. The 2 we lost, I think we were 1st in the entire league both times. How on earth do we see more success when we're 8th and 11th compared to when we won the President's Trophy twice? No, like that's absolutely ridiculous. But Nashville, the 10-year rebuild's complete. We won you 2 Stanley Cups. You can't really be too mad at that, I guess.